500 years ago, to say that you didn't believe in God would have got you executed for blasphemy. Nowadays, we know a lot more about the world and it's slowly becoming the norm. But this creates a problem. If God really is dead, as Nietzsche claimed, doesn't that mean that we're just fleshy mammals pointlessly wandering around a rock, seeking pleasure and avoiding pain? I mean, if there's no meaning to it whatsoever, why even bother? Why not just sit around eating nachos and watching porn? This is the question nihilism tries to answer and what we'll be exploring in this short video. Like a lot of Italians, I grew up in a strict Catholic family. I went to church regularly, I prayed, I read the Bible, I felt God deeply and that He was always watching over me, and it terrified me. It created a lot of anxiety that I was always doing something wrong and that karma was going to come round and bite me. And gradually, as I grew up past puberty, I started to question it all. I started reading about space and science, I got into philosophy, and I spoke to friends that I would meet who weren't religious. And when I was about 10 years old, I stopped believing altogether and I never looked back. And this is all well and good, but how did it affect me? Well, as I approached my teens, I did start acting out. I was no longer God-fearing, I believed that nothing happened for a reason, I didn't believe in karma, and it showed. I became completely obsessed with instant gratification, constantly chasing the next high and whatever I felt like, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was a nihilist. So nihilism is the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. So this clearly wasn't working for me. I was even more anxious, depressed and angry than when I was this innocent religious little child, but my mind was made up. I couldn't believe in God because it would go against one of the few values that I had, which is thinking independently. Then a few years ago, after a series of serious panic attacks, I started my journey of self-improvement. I explored my passion for reading, and I got obsessed with personal development, psychology and philosophy. I've told the story many times on this channel. So I completely rewired my thought patterns using all the stories, ideas and practices that I had learned, and I continued this path ever since. So when on my journey, I started to realise that before I was a nihilist, and when realising that, I came across other types of nihilism, including positive nihilism. Positive nihilism views the belief that there is no underlying meaning to life from a perspective of hope. Essentially, positive nihilists agree that there's no meaning to life, but they see it from a different perspective. They believe that the fact that there's no meaning, it's a wonderful thing. It means that we can add whatever meaning we want to life. It means there isn't this guiding officer judging our every move, and that we are the only person who can decide where our life needs to go. Now, it might seem pessimistic that no one is born to do anything, or that we don't have a purpose inside us to find. But when you look at it optimistically, you realise that you have more freedom than you ever realised. You don't need to conform to work in your family business or to the partner that your parents want you to marry. You don't need to stick with that business idea that's making you unhappy because you feel like it's what you were born to do, or that job that you hate. You aren't destined for anything except the move you feel is right at this moment. Positive nihilism is often associated with Friedrich Nietzsche, but other philosophers have had similar ideas, such as Existentialism, which was created by the Danish philosopher Kierkegaard. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Existentialism is the philosophical belief that we are each responsible for creating purpose or meaning in our own lives. Existentialists also believe that there is no underlying meaning to life, and that all guidelines and rules are simply made up by humans just like ourselves. So if you're stuck between going to war and fighting for your country, or staying at home and looking after your sick mother, there is no right answer. The only right option is the one you choose. Since we no longer do things by using God or the Bible as a guide, we have turned to our feelings to decide if things are good or bad. So for example, torturing someone is still illegal because it causes harm to someone, yet gay marriage is no longer illegal because it doesn't harm anyone. So understanding how we can find meaning without religion, using feelings and personal values, helps us to create a life where we actually value the fact that life is meaningless. After all, we are just random pieces of flesh wandering around this random rock. But thank God for that, if you'll pardon the pun. We have complete freedom knowing that life is pointless, and we shouldn't take it so seriously. Instead, we should just do things we feel is right for us and for the people around us. Emil Cioran was an essentialist philosopher who worded this perfectly. When all the current reasons, moral, aesthetic, religious, social and so on, no longer guide one's life, how can one sustain life without succumbing to nothingness? only by a connection with the absurd, by love of absolute uselessness, loving something which does not have substance, but which simulates an illusion of life. I live because the mountains do not laugh and the worms do not sing. Thank you so much for watching. If you took any value from this video at all, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like button and comment below on what other videos you'd like to see. Also apologise for the weird spots and the bunged up voice going on. I've got tonsillitis at the moment, but I wanted to get this video out because it's been 2 weeks and I promised only that there will be weekly videos, so there we go. And just a reminder, I post weekly videos usually on building discipline and an unbreakable mindset. If you're interested in improving your life, then hit the subscribe button and join the community. And also if you want to check out my free playbook on getting your life together, which takes you through the step-by-step process that I use for going from anxious and lazy to fulfilled and productive. The link is in the description and it's completely free. And I really appreciate you watching this to the end. I'll see you in the next one.